All right, well, we are back with another episode of the Fifth Generation. I'm Jason. This is Randall.
Hey, everybody.
We are going to kind of finish up a mechanics chat. Last week we talked about, what did we talk about last week? It was not hunger.
It was the predator types.
Predator types. We did predator types. This week, though, we're going to talk about hunger. And then next
Which
week,
is related.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because you have a preferred way of hunting with the predator types to refill your hunger. And then next week we'll jump back into clans, since apparently that's what everybody likes to listen to.
Yes.
So we'll jump into the Malkavians or the Oracles or Seers or whatever you want
Yeah,
to call them.
we're listening to you.
Yeah. So, but the hunger mechanic versus the old way, the old men in the room, meaning me and Randall, played with Blood Bowl when we were kids.
Yes.
Which is very much different.
Oh, it really is. It's one. It was like, well, it was a pool.
Right. You had 10 points.
And it there were certain abilities that just burned through it. Some things that made you burn through it. And
based on your generation, you could burn more of it.
Right, at a time, and so it was and depending on the version of the game, how that the abilities burned it changed.
Oh my gosh. Like celerity, if I spend one blood point, now I have 4 extra actions at the end of the turn.
Right, as opposed to some versions were just you had that potential amount of actions on the blood points that you spent.
Yeah. It was, it seemed great at the time, but then we get V5, and to be fair, like they've spent 30 years trying to figure out things like celerity and make it balanced with blood points. Even to the point of going, well, you know what, you could spend blood points for celerity above and beyond what your generational limit might be.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yes. No, not at all.
Then with 5th edition, we have Hunger. And Hunger is a 5-point scale on the character sheet. You roll 1 die whenever you're doing something hunger related, whether it's waking up in the morning, waking up every night, blushing of life to make yourself more human, using some disciplines. The first level of every discipline is free, but after that, you're making a rouse check for your hunger.
Right.
And if you pass, then no hunger. If you fail, your hunger goes up. As your hunger goes up, then you're getting more hunger dice, which are replacing regular dice, and then bad things are happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, largely I have found that hunger is simultaneously more theatric, more dramatic, while also kind of giving you more options with it. You kind of feel more... The powers that use blood kind of feel a little bit, I want to say stronger.
They're just more thematic.
Yeah.
Because like with blood points, it's like, oh, I'm just marking off a blood point and you forget about it. Because the blood points, until you got down to like, half your blood pool or below, then you were in trouble. You were thinking frenzy and things.
Right.
But with hunger now, well, like even you, like you've said, when we're playing, like I don't let my hunger get higher than 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Because then you're getting in trouble. Because you're replacing, in the game, you've got your dice pool, just like every other World of Darkness game, D10s. But your hunger dice replace dice in the pool. And if your hunger dice come up failing or even super succeeding, it can be bad.
Yes, and I'm a very conservative Zimmishin.
You're a very conservative.
No, I don't like taking those chances.
Right.
Yeah.
And hunger, you don't just willy-nilly do hunger and forget about it. Any of the players at the table don't seem to do that.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's I feel like it opened a lot more doors and opportunities, but at the same time, though, it's like you still take it very serious. Because like anytime I have to do a rouse check, it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna like bump another hunger now. It's like, but at the same time, though, it's like, as opposed to just losing the blood,
right?
You still feel like, but I still get that shot. I can just get this power off
for free.
It's like, for free. Or I can raise my stat
Right.
might just be able to get that one for free.
Right.
A little pro bono, extra 2 dice.
Right. The hunger mechanic ties into everything that blood pool did. If you were to spend blood on strength, now you're going to make a rouse check for your hunger.
Right.
Right. To increase that physical stat or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes it, I think it makes it more versatile than just blood points.
Yeah, no, and that's what I think I like about it, because it's like, so many times in games, whether it's like a video game or it's a role-playing game, you might have like certain like abilities that are just like really cool abilities, right? But it's like you tend to kind of hoard those, like, I need to save that up or whatever like that, because of the consequences of like burning it, whether it's a cooldown period or whatever it is. I feel like that hunger really hit a beautiful balance on that, because it's like, it's with that 50-50, it's giving you enough like that, just like, you can do all that for free. And they've done a very good job with hunger, building it into disciplines, humanity, things like that. I think we've talked in some episodes about stains and things like that, but just take the Lasombra, like, I'm using Oblivion, no big deal, or Obtenebration back in the old days with a blood point. But now you're going to make a rouse check with the hunger dice, and on a 1 or a 10, you're gaining a stain because you're sucking in the Oblivion and you're using it. But that whole hunger mechanic is it's just really versatile, and I see it popping up in like werewolf. You could use it as like a rage pool. Mage, they did mage, and they had just a paradox pool of 5 that fed into your dice pool. The way they're doing it now with hunger just makes the game, I don't know, easier doesn't seem like the right word, but it just makes it more, I guess, modular. Yeah, no, I mean, well, I get your conundrum in like, saying easier, because it's like, it's not easier because the consequences are literally there.
Right.
But
much quicker than like with blood points. I can spend 5 blood points and not
But the temptation is equal to the consequence.
Right.
That's the beauty of it, in my opinion. It's giving as much as it's taking. So there's a lot like, you could just have like that golden night. And like, boom, free, boom, free, boom, free, boom, for slinging disciplines and boosting attributes all night. Gratis. Yep.
And then you have the bad night.
And then you have the bad night where it's like, you're grabbing up stains, and you're running the risk of like running into compulsion,
masquerade breaches.
Yeah, it's just like, and when it goes bad, it goes bad.
It's really bad. Yeah.
But it offers them an equal.
Right. And I know some, I'm pretty sure most of the people that listen to our podcast have not, probably played Wraith, but there's a shadow mechanic in Wraith.
Yes.
You could distill that down to like shadow dice. Like, hey, if you were shadow dice
that's the great thing about it, is like, to all the systems, it has an analogous So it's I mean, and that's one thing that I think about, just speaking generally about 5th edition, is that it does a really good job of having set up this framework where that you can just sit there and see the other games that can be added. And unlike in the previous editions, and this is like no hate on the previous editions, because you and I both played them.
Yeah, I love
them.
We were just talking before we started. I was like, man, I love Blood Pool and Dark Ages. Like, playing Dark Ages Vampire.
Dark Ages was really a good game.
All the Dark Ages stuff.
Yeah,
Dark Ages Werewolf.
Was so good.
Dark Ages.
You all ignore all this because we're not doing 5th generation. But
we're kind of on an old name tangent.
We got nostalgic here, but Dark Ages was really good.
But like the Blood Pool and Dark Ages just seemed to work better, I guess.
Yeah, but it did.
But
It did.
with 5th edition, you just can't get away from how good hunger works at like pushing kindred and vampires towards degeneration and actually feeling the consequences of being a monster.
And I'll just
you only have 5. You have 5 hunger.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to 10 blood
10,
pool.
exactly. No, very good point. It's and I think that's one of the things, and kind of going back to like the Predator type thing too, is like I've noticed in the 5th edition games is that hunting becomes a bit more of a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like now you actually bother to kind of go through that story a little bit, which I felt like a lot of times just sort of like fell to the wayside. It's like, it's like you go hit your herd, or you just go hunt and like whatever, gets to dominate, you're gonna do it, whatever. And it's and I always felt like that was kind of a shame, because when you read like the classic vampire stories, the hunting is kind of at the crux of it.
Right. Like, how are you going to fill yourself up?
Yeah, I mean, because this awesome eternal being lives off the blood of the living.
Right.
And that's the horror of the creature.
Right.
Whereas sometimes, like, I just noticed, like, in the previous games, I could sometimes just sort of fall to the wayside.
Right.
Whereas now, you kind of see it get played up a little bit.
Yeah, with hunger dice, if you roll a 1 and no successes, that's a, beastly failure. So something horrible is happening. Your compulsion's going to go off. You're going to gain stains or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you get a 10, if you get a crit with another crit, then it's a messy crit, and still something horrible is going to happen.
Right.
And it's going to, it just, the way they tied in hunger to your character's development as you go. I mean, even in our games.
Yeah.
In our games, we've had the hunger dice cause frenzy. We've had the hunger dice cause masquerade breaches where players were put into torpor.
Yeah.
We've had the hunger dice just screw people in the game, and it has a different feel than like when you're playing D&D and you get a 1 or a 20 and you're like, I've botched. It's completely different. It has a completely different feel.
Oh, well, and I've noticed that with hunger too, unlike a lot of times systems like they have like a similar kind of general idea where give or take, is that a lot of times when it goes bad in a lot of games, I've seen it time and time again where people are just like, I don't really want to do that anymore, because whether it's a perceptual thing or it's real, they perceive that it's just like the odds are against me, and I just don't want to deal with all that. But it's like we have literally, to those listening, we have had some truly game-changing, horrific stuff go down because of these botched rolls.
Yeah.
But nobody thinks twice about like, oh, I need to do an investigation check. Yeah, I'm gonna rouse.
Right.
It's like they just jump right back into that, and that's what I love about it, because it's like, it doesn't scare you off.
Right. It gives it that element of danger, and it gives it that element of excitement.
Yeah.
That a lot of other systems just don't have.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, this may sound, and I could be wrong, but I mean, I really think that in some ways, the hunger system is the most ingenious part of 5th edition.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
It just works.
Yeah.
It does its job so well.
Yep. There's no real ambiguity with it. You roll this dice. If it succeeds, great. If it doesn't, your hunger goes up.
Yeah.
And then when your hunger hits, 4, 3, 4, 5, now your character is in, trouble. Because now you're going to frenzy when you feed or some horrible thing like that.
Don't go beyond 2.
That's right. Play a conservative Zenisi.
Yeah.
And don't let your hunger go past 2.
Let the flesh crafter tell you. Just don't do it. or I'll make you into a chair.
Yeah, you don't want to be a duvet at his house.
Yeah, no.
Be very, very nice duvet.
Yeah, no, you'll be very attractive.
Very attractive duvet.
Yeah, very aesthetically pleasing. You'll fit in with the decor.
It'll be great.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. It'll be great. Yeah.
So that's kind of Hunger in a nutshell. And like I said, they've got Rage Dice for Werewolf coming out in August. They've got, we play Hunter as well.
Which is great too.
Yeah, there are special dice Desperation dice for Hunter.
That's a great mechanic.
Yeah, it all comes out of the Hunger mechanic. How these special dice interact with the character, and force character development is really not the right way to go about it, but encourage character development.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Next week, as I fling my keys down, next week we are going to get back into clans, and we're going to talk about Malkavians, which have been grossly misunderstood since the 90s.
Oh God, yeah, probably the most, but also one of the most interesting clans.
Yeah, as long as you find someone who doesn't play them like
the
most people do.
Bunny Slipper
Malkavians.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and make sure you come by Kingsmaker in a couple weeks and see them. We are recording here as always because they love us. So thanks for listening, and we will see you all next week.
Take care, everybody.